Buildables in COD Zombies. Some are good, some are bad, and some are the electric trap. Regardless of what you think about them, it cannot be argued that at the time they were a revolutionary new gameplay mechanic. And if you don't know what a buildable does, it basically allows players to assemble tools, traps, and equipment at workbenches scattered around the map. And it's the closest thing you get to playing Minecraft when you're playing COD Zombies. So think of that what you will, especially on maps like Transit and Buried, where building these things, contraptions, was really central to progressing through the map. And there's many different buildables in COD Zombies. It really sort of kicked on. Today we're looking at Black Ops 2 buildables, and we're going to rank them from worst to best based on how good they are, how useful they are, because why not, okay? Because why not? We're excluding the actual weapons you build, like the Sliquifier and the Jet Gun, because they're obviously the best, and there's no point in really ranking them. We're also not including the nav card table thingamabob, because that doesn't really do anything. We're just looking at traps that do things, okay? That's what they do. Okay, so with that in mind, there are 8 total buildables in Black Ops 2, so let's jump straight into the rankings. So coming in at number 8, the worst buildable in Black Ops 2 is unsurprisingly the Electric Trap, which is essentially just a purely ornamental fucking trap, because it is just completely useless and you're just wasting your time if you build it. And the idea of a portable electric trap actually sounds really good on paper, but then you actually build it and you are thoroughly disappointed, a little bit like my mum. So yeah, when you go to the actual power room place in Transit, you can find these parts and build the trap. First thing you'll notice when you build a trap, you'll put it down and it actually immediately doesn't fucking work, which is actually really great in a trap, you know, not actually working. I love that. So yeah, you actually need the turbine to make this trap work. That's not really good, is it, when you think about it? Needing a whole other buildable to make a buildable work. And then when you actually get the turbine to get it to work, it doesn't really do anything. Zombies consistently run through the trap and it is really inefficient at killing, and it doesn't really do anything else. So unless you like blue lightning, then it's, you know, it's fucking useless, to be honest with you. I guess the only time it could be somewhat usable is if you're sitting in a camping spot with it, but there's not really a lot of camping spots on Transit, and this is only available on Transit, so yeah, it's completely fucking useless. You'll put it down, the zombies will also go for the turbine, and after about 15 seconds, both of them will be broken. So yeah, number 8, Electric Trap, not very difficult. Coming in at number 7, we've got the Head Chopper on Buried. This is a, like, saw that will chop the zombies' heads off. Unlike the electric trap, you don't need a turbine to activate it, which is pretty good. Although it has a little weird, like, cooldown thing where it will chop zombies' heads for a little bit and then it'll just stop for a little bit, which is, you know, not very good, especially when you use this in a camping spot. It does kind of become obsolete when the zombies just walk through the fucking trap and hit you anyway. Although I think that the trap at number 6, or the buildable at number 6, they're pretty much even, and they're both equally shit. But yeah, this is just okay. If you're pairing it with like the subsurface resonator on Buried, then I guess it, you know, it couldn't hurt to have. It's gonna kill more zombies, but you know, ultimately it's gonna break, and you're gonna be really sad, aren't you? You're gonna be really sad. Although maybe this should be at number 6. I'm not sure, but I've put it at number 7 just because zombies can run through it, and I really fucking hate that, to be honest with you. Coming in at number 6, we've got the Turret, which you can, again, is only on Transit. You can build it at Farm. Probably one of the lesser known buildables in this game, because why the fuck could you go into Farm? This is a RPD on a lawnmower. I mean, who would have thought that would be a bad buildable, except, you know, everyone that's ever fucking lived in human history. Like the electric trap, you need a turbine to power it, which is no bueno, to be honest with you. Although, unlike the electric trap, this thing is somewhat competent at killing zombies, which gives it a plus. Although this one, if you kind of stand in front of it, it will insta-down you, which is not good, because, you know, a trap that can insta-down you is pretty bad in my opinion, but that may be a hot take, I'm not sure. The reason I think this trap is better than the electric trap and the head chopper, despite the fact that it can insta-down you, is that it does kind of have a use when you put it on top of the bus on Transit and put the turbine behind it, and it's just like sort of killing all the zombies that are running to you. That actually can be quite useful when you're standing on top of the bus, because it kind of stops all the zombies from catching up and getting on top of the bus, so it does sort of have a use in that sense. But realistically, you're never really gonna actually be using this trap, but I think that specific use is better than the head chopper and better better than the electric trap, although I think that maybe you could swap the head shopperiness around, but they're both pretty equally shit. So yeah. Coming in at number 5, we've got the Tramples theme. We're finally getting onto buildables that are actually competent and actually do things that are pretty useful. And the Tramples theme is actually a pretty effective buildable at killing zombies, although that's not really what it's mainly used for. People mainly use it to jump across shit. Like in Die Rise, it's actually pretty useful because you can jump across buildings and shit like that, although it doesn't really do anything other than save time. You can get into a few glitches of it as well. There's that one glitch where you can get into the hole in the wall on Die Rise with the Tramples theme, which is pretty good, although that's obviously an exploit, so that doesn't really count. Unlike the other buildables on this list, it's not really a passive buildable where you put it down and the zombies will just attack it, because if a zombie goes over it, it will just die, which is good. It's a very fun buildable to use. I love jumping across buildings and risking my life with all my perks and guns. I love that. That fills me with so much joy. Ultimately, I think the other buildables just have more of a use on this list, to be honest. It's not a bad buildable. It does what it needs to do, but yeah, there's nothing else to really say about the Tramples theme. So yeah. Which brings us to the number 4 spot, the turbine, which is actually really useful, although I do sort of hate the fact that it's so important, especially on transit. Like, I almost hate how important it is and how much you have to rely on it, especially how easy it is to break because you have to keep running back and grabbing it. So yeah, you can obviously use this to power on doors and go through them before power's even turned on, which is really good. It's also needed to power on a lot of the fucking buildables on this list, which is also pretty important. But yeah, you need it to pack a punch on transit, which again is pretty important. The actual like good use for this is that you can put the turbine down before power's even turned on, and you can buy a perk, and so long as the turbine is by that perk will be used. But obviously when you pick up the perk, then it kind of gets grayed out and goes passive and you can't use it anymore, but that's still a good useful thing to have, especially on a map like transit where power's so far away, where you could just buy a perk before you even have power turned on and make that setup that bit easier. Obviously when you pair it on Buried with a subsurface resonator, that's pretty important. So I guess it is really important. What can I say? Which brings us to number 3, and maybe this should be at number 2, I'm not sure, but I've got the Maxis drone at number 3 on Origins. So you build this thing and then it just kind of flies around you when you release it into the air and shoots the zombies, which is pretty cool. But it also is just really useful in the sense that it can pick up drops for you. You need it for the Easter egg. But yeah, it can also revive downed players, which is really useful. Maybe this thing should be at number 2, to be honest, but it's a nice thing to have. But ultimately, if you're just good at the game, then the Maxis drone does become a little bit less useful, but it's just a pretty useful fucking buildable to have. Which brings us to the number 2 spot. Maybe it should be at number 3, to be honest, but it's honestly just so cool. The subsurface resonator, which is only available in Buried, but it basically is like a little thunder gun thing that shoots out just like a jet of like air and kills all the zombies, and it kind of just like does that every few seconds. So if you're in like the little jug hallway and you put the turbine down and you put the subsurface resonator down, then it's literally very hard to die, especially like casually on the early rounds, like through 0 to 50. It's basically impossible to die, and you can just sort of sit there and not really do anything, and you only really have to leave when the thing breaks or the turbine breaks. And especially when you got the paralyzer, you could just like sort of go out and fly up. That is just so fucking overpowered, and getting to like round 50 on Buried is just the easiest shit because of this. It's just by far the most effective buildable at killing zombies, because it's just constantly shooting at them and you're just never gonna die. If you dive this thing, I don't know what to tell you, buddy. Maybe it's time to pack it up. But that's its only use. All it does is shoot at the fucking zombies, so it doesn't really have like multi-uses like the Maxis drone. But I'm putting it number 2 just because, you know, casually it's just really fun. Which brings us to the number 1 spot. Absolutely the best buildable in the game is the shield. This thing really set a trend for shields being in later maps, because if you think about Black Ops 3, Black Ops 4, like how many literally shields are in like every other map after this game. Really, a few not here and there. But what does it do? Obviously protects you from getting hit from the back, which is pretty good, because you know, nobody wants to get hit from the back. But from like covering 50% of the places where you can get hit from is really, especially when the only way you could go down is getting hit from the zombies. Covering 50% of the attack angle is very useful, and it's like central to high round strategies on a lot of maps, because it gives you that extra like few seconds of protection. Like say you get trapped in a corner, you turn around with a shield and then use the gun to kill them, like the ice staff or the vitrolic withering, and use it to kill them. It's just really effective at that. As for like actually killing zombies, just the gameplay I'm using, because otherwise it'll just be me running around the fucking map. It's like, you know, it's fine. I mean, you're not really going to use it for that anyway. I guess if you run out of ammo, and you just want to end the round, and I guess it could be useful for that. But this is the most influential buildable, because like I said, how many games is it in after this? Protects you from 50% of the angle you get hit from, so shield number 1, 100 fucking %. But yeah, that's the list. A nice sort of short, easy video. Let me know what you think. You can like and subscribe if you want, but if you don't want to, you know, I understand you fucking hate me and you do just sort of want me to suffer. So thank you very much for that. I appreciate that. Alright, see ya.